Teruan Saranai, Venerable Swamin Wahanse, and good evening, dear children and dear parents. This is our monthly Dhamma Talk in English program. So you know, our Venerable Shantha Wimala Thero has been conducting these Dhamma sermons since last year, and it's from the discourse Mangala Sutta, and this is today is that monthly Dhamma sermon, the continuation of our monthly Dhamma sermon. And also it happened to be aligned with our monthly SIL program we just finished a little while ago. Perhaps some of your parents or grandparents would have joined that program as well. So Dua Puta, now what we're going to do is, with respect, we are going to invite Venerable Shantha Wimala Swamin Wahanse to commence the Dhamma sermon. So let's invite our Swamin Wahanse with respect. Avasara ape Hamundurani.
Good evening to everyone. Please, I warmly welcome all the students and our Sunday school students and people all around the world to join our monthly Dhamma talk. Before I start my talk, I kindly request each and every one of you to recite Namo Tassa 3 times in order to observe 5 precepts. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Saranagamanaṃ sampunnaṃ. Pānātipātā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Adinnādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Kāmesu miccācārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Surāmeraya majjapamā dattāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Tisaranena saddhiṃ pañcasīlaṃ dhammaṃ sādhukaṃ surakkitaṃ kattvā appamādena sampādetabbhaṃ. Samantā cakkavālesu atrā gaccantu devatā. Saddhammaṃ munirājassa sunamtu sagga mokkadaṃ. Dhammasavana kālo ayaṃ badantā. Dhammasavana kālo ayaṃ badantā. Dhammasavana kālo ayaṃ badantā. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Kanti ca sova cassata samanānaṃ ca dassanaṃ kālena dhamma sākaccā etaṃ mangala Pattamanti. Good evening to all the children. And today we are going to listen again our monthly Dhamma talk in English. And from the last year until now, until today, we have been discussing and we have been talking about, and I have been given, and I have been talking about Mangala Sutta for the sake of the benefit, for the sake of your understanding, and for the sake of your successful life. So today, I started the stanza number 9 of the Mangala Sutta last month, and I talked one factor of stanza number 9. But today, I am going to talk about the second, the factor of stanza number 9, that is Ajatasattu. So before I start my talk, I just want to tell you the significance of the Poya Day. The Poson Poya Day. It was yesterday. What did you do, children, yesterday? It was Poson Full Moon Day. Do you know the importance of the Poson Poya Day? Can anyone tell me? That is the day of receiving the Buddhism in Sri Lanka. The Poson Poya Day is the day we received the teachings of the Buddha to our motherland, Sri Lanka. So who took Buddhism to Sri Lanka? Who Buddhism was brought back to Sri Lanka? Venerable Mahinda, the son of the king Dhamma. So without Dhamma and also without Mihindu Thero, Mahinda Arahant, we will not be able to listen to the teachings of the Buddha. As Sri Lankan, as a Buddhist monk, I won't be able to become a monk even if we do not get the teachings of the Buddha. And if we did not get the teachings of the Buddha from India, and I would not be able to become a monk. And you people would not be able to listen to the teachings of the Buddha if we did not get the teachings of the Buddha. So we have to be very grateful to Venerable Mahinda, Arahant Mahinda, and also Dharma Ashoka, because of their dedication and because of their effort, we got teachings of the Buddha. Since that day, we have been practicing, we have been talking, and we have been applying the teachings of the Buddha to our life in many ways. So dear children, that is the importance of the Poson Poya Day. So if somebody asks you, could you please tell me the importance of the Poya Day? Now you know what is the importance of the Poya Day, right? So you can tell it to your parents or your friends. So now, let me move on to my talk, my Dhamma talk. So today I am going to talk about very important, very meaningful, and very useful teachings of the Buddha for our life. What is that? Can you tell me, children? If you remember, what is the point we are going to talk about? Ajatasattu. That is the second factor of fourth factors of stanza 9 of Mangala Sutta. That is Ajatasattu. So what do you mean by Ajatasattu? It means obedience, obey, amenable, obedient. In Sinhala it's a ki karu. What do you mean by obey? Obedience. What do you mean by obey? So, obey and obedience means you are willing to accept and you are ready to accept guidance and also advice of the Buddha, of the monks and the teachers and parents and senior citizens, and also from your brothers and sisters or juniors, without getting angry or without being stubborn or without being arrogant, with respect. So that is the simply meaning of obedience, right? So obedience means, again, you become ready to, or you become okay, or you become, you are ready to accept the advice or guidelines of the people, of the monks, of the Buddha. So that is why obedience or obey or being obedient is very important. So that is why the Lord Buddha also said, this factor, this quality, this great habit, or this great teaching, or this great quality, you have to develop. So please remember that obedience is very important to your life as well, children. I will explain to you why obedience or being obedient is important to your life. But before that, let's talk about why the Lord Buddha told this is as a blessing. Why Lord Buddha wanted to tell the people obedience or Ajatasattu, or being obedient is important or it blessings. Why Lord Buddha wanted to tell that? Can you tell me, children? The Lord Buddha wanted to tell this obedience or being obedient or obey to people is important because of many reasons. The Lord Buddha saw the people and he looked at the world and he understood that people of the society, they are not 100% perfect living beings. We are commonly human beings, we are worldly beings. We still make mistakes, we still make errors, right? We still make some faults, and sometimes we do lots of errors and mistakes in our day-to-day life. So nobody is perfect. Nobody is 100% perfect. Are you perfect? Are you 100% perfect, children? I don't think so. We are not totally 100% perfect living beings. Therefore, we usually make mistakes and errors and faults, right? So therefore, the Lord Buddha said that having understood all those mistakes and errors, we need to correct them. How do you correct them? How do you correct your mistake, children? You need to get advice from someone, right? You need to get some guideline from someone. And you have to obey to someone in order to correct your mistakes and in order to identify your mistakes. When you correct your mistake, when you identify your mistake, then actually you can be a successful person in this world and the world after this. Children, can I ask you a question? Do you know everything in this world? Do you know? I mean, do you know everything about in this world or everything in this world? I don't think so. We don't know everything in this world. That's why we are still learning. Why do you go to school? Why do you go to school? You go to school to learn something. Why do you need to learn? You need to learn because you don't know the things. You don't have good understanding of some particular subjects. Therefore, you have to learn. So, the same way, my dear children, when we understand our mistakes and when we understand our errors, actually we can learn them and we can identify them and we can actually stay away from the mistakes, right? And also we know only very limited things in this world. We don't know a lot of things of this world, but we know only very limited things. So because of that reason, maybe it is our nature and it is our habit to make some mistakes or errors, right? It is okay. It is natural. It is your nature to make some mistakes and errors, because we are not 100% perfect living beings in this world. So therefore, in order to minimize or in order to eradicate your mistakes and faults, you need to have someone to get good advice, to get proper guidelines to make your life better. When I talk about Sovachasata, when I talk about obedience, a Sinhala poem comes to my mind. Sometime you may have heard about it. It goes in this way: Vadihiti Guru Deguru, Kula Detu Vanata Gunagaru, Vanu Menaviki Karu, Delo Sampat Vade Niraturu. So the meaning goes in this way: if you obey to your parents, your teachers, and elders, and seniors, and if you get advice from those senior people or elderly people or from your parents and monks, actually that person is capable of becoming a successful person in both worlds. What does that mean, my dear children? If you get more advice, if you get more guidelines from the people, from wise people, it helps you to make your life successful, right? In any division, in any category of life you represent, you will be a successful person. My dear children, if I give a very good example, have you seen gemstone? Have you seen gems? Are they valuable or valueless? Can you tell me? Gems, right? Gemstones. Have you seen them? I think you may have seen. Are they valuable or valueless item? They are very valuable. They are very precious. Why they are very precious? Because they are not very common, right? Very rare to find the gems. But even though gems are very valuable and precious, you can make gems more valuable and more beautiful if you do something. What is that something? If someone cuts and polishes this gemstone properly, then the shape of the gem become more nice, and the validity of the gem become more high. Why is that? The person do cut and polish the gem, then it become more nicer and it become more beautiful. Then the validity of the gem will increase in that way. The more you cut and polish the gem, the more the value become greater, right? So in the same way, what I want to tell is that, my dear children, if you get constant advice and guidelines from the people, actually you can use that guidelines and advice to make your life precious and valid life. Right? Therefore, you should not hesitate to get advice from anyone. Please always try to get advice and guidelines from people. Please always obey to the parents and to the Buddha, to the teachers always. That kind of person actually is able to successful and able to make his life precious and useful and valid, having got enough advice, just like well cut and polished gem. And also another example I want to tell you. When you plant a tree, what do you need to do if you want the tree to grow well? What do you want to do? What do you want to do if you want the tree to grows well? You need to put fertilizer, you need to put water, you need to let it get enough sunlight, and you need to provide other basic requirements in order to let the tree grow well. So if you put all those requirements, then the tree will grow well and bear its fruits, and we can benefit from the tree. In the same way, my dear children, if you get constant advice from the people, your life will become a tree which has great fruits, right? So you can be a successful person, or you can be a great person in the society if you get constant advice and guideline from people, from wise people. Do you understand? Yes, you do. And do you know why people add salt into most of the curries and dishes? Why? Why salt is added to curries and some dishes? Why? Can you tell me? Why do people put salt into curries and dishes? The salt is added to curries in order to make curries tasty, in order to make curry delicious, right? So if you do not put enough salt to some particular curries or dishes, the taste will be light, or it will tasteless. So if you put enough salt to the curries or dishes, then the curries will be tasty. In the same way, my dear children, if you become obedient to someone, or if you get enough advice or guidelines from someone, that guideline, that advice will make your life tasty in many ways. And your life will be more delicious in many ways if you get and if you add advice and guidelines from people. Therefore, my dear children, you need to always depend on or base on the guidance and advice mostly from your parents. And I'm very sad to say that when we look at the modern world today, I think animals are more obedient than human beings. They are well obedient to their parents, they are well obedient to their leaders. But sadly, what do you think about human beings? I don't think so. Human beings are that much obedient to their parents or people, right? Therefore, we are lack of this quality. We need to get constant advice. We need to get enough advice from our parents and from our monks, teachers, and grandparents and elderly people. And also there's another good example in the Dhammapada. There's a very beautiful teachings in the Dhammapada. It says in this way, Nidinangva pavattarang yampasse vajja dassinang Niggaya vading medaving tadisam panditam bhaje tadisam bhajabanas seyo hoti napapiyo. What does that mean, my dear children? It means one should look for a wise person who always points out your mistakes, who always points out your errors, and who always tell you this is not the right thing to do, this is the right thing you to do, please follow this and that, please don't follow this and that. The one who gives you such kind of guidelines, such kind of advice, and if someone points out those mistakes, that person is just like a person who showing or revealing a treasure to a beggar. What happens if the beggar see the treasure? What happens if a beggar encounters with a treasure? He becomes very happy, right? So you also should associate such kind of wise people who always help you to correct your mistakes, who always guide you to correct your mistake. So that kind of association will be greater in your life and will not be worse to your life. Therefore, my dear children, you need to get lots of advice and guidelines from your parents and monks and the senior citizens and elderly people and so on. And also in the Karaniya Metta Sutta it explains in this way, Suvacho chassa mudu anatimani. You have to be very humble enough to accept the guidance, to accept advice of the people. You have to be humble to obey to your parents. If you do not have humble, if you are not humble, and if you are arrogant, you can't actually obey to your parents. So therefore you have to be humble. In the modern world, I'm very sad to say that we can see many people, many children, they do not pay respect or pay homage or obey to their parents. Right? Most of the children, they are disobedient to their parents and the people. And also, they are not ready to accept, or they are not ready to accept the guidelines of the other people, especially from their parents. They don't want to accept. They think that they are the best, they are better than their parents. So they are the best people in this world, so I don't need advice, so I don't need to obey to our parents or anybody. They think in this way. That is not good. Right? You are still young and you are still child, and it doesn't matter you are a child or a teenager or adult, you still need to get advice from people to correct yourself. Because I told you, we are not 100% perfect beings yet, right? We are still do mistakes and errors. So therefore we need guidance and guidelines from people. And also, my dear children, in this world, it is very difficult to find people who really give you good guidelines and good advice. Right? Because most of the people, they provide advice and guidelines expecting lots of privileges and benefits. Right? So if I advise this person in this way, I may get this kind of benefits. if I give a good guidelines to this person, I may get this kind of benefits. So some people think in that way. That is also very dangerous. So children, you have to be very wise and smart and intelligent and diligent to identify what are the good advice, what is the good advice, and what is the bad advice. And what the good advice is or what the bad advice is. Otherwise, you may face some other problems. Do you know, have you heard about the story of the king Ajatasattu? What happened to him? King Ajatasattu associated who? Venerable Devadatta. What happened because of that bad association? King Ajatasattu killed his own father because he got advice from who? From the Devadatta. Devadatta gave a very bad advice to King Ajatasattu in order to kill his own father. Why Venerable Devadatta wanted to do this? Wanted to do that? Venerable Devadatta wanted to do that because he thought that if I advise to this King Ajatasattu and if he follows my advice, if he kill his own father, and if the King Ajatasattu become a king of that regime, I can get lots of privileges and benefits. So Venerable Devadatta thought in that way. He can get benefits and privileges from this king if he become a king of that regime. So that is why you have to be smart, you have to be wise, you have to be diligent and intelligent when you get advice from the people. Otherwise, you may face another types of problems. And the same thing happened to Prince Ahinsaka. Who was the Ahinsaka? Ahinsaka was the Angulimala. Before he became Angulimala, Prince Ahinsaka was an innocent kid, innocent child. While he was studying at the center, he got advice from his teacher. What happened? Because of the teacher's bad advice, he became a brutal killer. He became a very unpleasant or very dangerous, furious killer, killing more than 900 people. Look at that. That's why I tell you, my dear children, even though when you get advice, you have to be very smart and intelligent and diligent to get proper and good advice. Otherwise, you may face other difficult problems. Do you know, children, the Lord Buddha also looked for a spiritual advisor, a spiritual person to get advice from. Even before he became a Buddha, when he was a Bodhisattva, and even before he became a Buddha, he looked for a person to get advice from. And even after he became a Buddha, he still looked for someone to get advice from. He looked for the three worlds. He looked in Brahma world, he looked in human world, he looked in Deva world, to look for someone who is greater than him or who is equal to him to get advice from. But Lord Buddha could not find anyone who is greater than him, who is equal to him. Then what did he do? He considered his teaching, his great teachings, as his great teacher. His great teachings and also his Vinaya rules, his rules, discipline, as his great teacher. And he asked venerable monks to consider his teachings and his discipline and Vinaya as their teacher when he is gone, when the Buddha passed away. So, therefore, even myself, even to the Buddha, even to the monks, we all need guidance and advice from someone or from people, from wise people. Children, have you heard about Venerable Sariputta? Venerable Sariputta was the one of the chief disciples of the Buddha, and he was the great monk, great enlightened monk, and he got advice from 7-year-old monk, a Samanera monk, novice monk. What happened? One day Venerable Sariputta, when he was walking on the road, walking on the compound, one part of his robe was touching the ground. Then just ordained novice monk saw that and requested and advised Venerable Sariputta. Venerable Sariputta, your part of your robe is touching the ground. So Venerable Sariputta greatly and humbly accepted that advice and corrected it. And have you heard about the Venerable Rahula? How was he? Venerable Rahula was a very obedient monk, and he was a very good monk. He listened to all the monks, he listened to the Buddha. If he wanted to become an arrogant and proud monk, he had lots of chances because he was the son of the Buddha. He was the son of the Prince Siddhartha. Right? But he was not such kind of arrogant monk, but he was such kind of humble monk to accept guidelines from, advice from anyone, any monks, and from the Buddha also. And do you know what Venerable Rahula did in the morning? Every in the morning, Venerable Rahula used to wake up in the morning and used to go to the compound and used to take some lump of sand onto his hand. And then what did he do? He usually take that lump of sand onto his hand and throw it to the sky. And having thrown the sand to the sky, he made a wish. What is that wish? He wished in that way: may I get enough, plenty of advice from anyone to make my life success as same as according to a single tiny amount of sand which I throw into the sky. Look at his humble quality. Look at his greatness. He always expected lots of plenty of advice from the people. You have to be like Venerable Rahula, my dear children. Right? If you get constant and more advice, actually you will make less mistakes. You will make less errors, less faults. Therefore, you need always have to have very good and enough advice from the people. So this is all about Sovachasata, background information about Sovachasata. And now let's talk about who are the people we should obey or we should get advice from. Who is the first person comes to your mind? Can you tell me, dear children? Tell me, please. Who is the first person comes to your mind that you should obey to or get advice or guidelines from? That is the Lord Buddha. Who is that? The Lord Buddha. How do you obey to Lord Buddha? How do you become an obedient child to a Buddha? You have to follow the advice of the Lord Buddha. What is the advice of the Lord Buddha? The Lord Buddha advised us in this way: Sabbha papassa akaranang kusalassa upasampada satitta pariyodapanang etang buddhanusasanang. What was the Buddha's advice? What the Buddha asked us to do? The Lord Buddha asked, my dear children, please avoid evils. What do you mean by evils, my dear children? He gave us 5 precepts. He taught us 5 precepts. What are those 5 precepts? He asked us to not to do killing. He asked children to refrain from killing. What is the next one? He asked us to refrain from stealing. And he advised us not to misuse of our senses, 5 senses, unnecessarily. And he asked us not to steal or to tell lies. And he asked us not to take intoxicated drinks, right? So these are the evil things. So you need to avoid these evil things, right? And also disrespecting your parents and not looking up to your parents, and also scolding your parents and talking against your parents, all these are considered as evil actions. So the Lord Buddha asks us to avoid evil actions. That is his advice. And then what you have to do after you avoided all those evil actions? You have to cultivate good actions. How do you cultivate good actions? Looking up to your parents, treating your parents well, and avoiding killing, avoiding stealing, and avoiding misuse of your senses, and avoiding telling lies, and avoiding taking intoxicated drinks in the future or now. These are considered as good things. So you have to cultivate, you have to develop these good qualities in you, right? So that's the Buddha's advice, my dear children. So if you avoid all those unwholesome deeds and cultivate good deeds, that means you are obeyed to the Lord Buddha. And if you do not follow, if you violate all those 5 precepts, and if you do not listen to this advice, that means you disobey to the Lord Buddha and his teachings. And he asks us to purify our mind. How do you purify your mind? You need to practice meditation, right? So by practicing meditation, actually you can purify your mind. So that is the teachings of the Buddha. That is the advice of all the Buddhas for the sake of your life, my dear children. So therefore, what you need to do? You need to follow the advice of the Lord Buddha in order to make your life successful in this world and also next world. And who is the next person, who is the next type of people you should get advice from? Venerable monks. What can you get from venerable monks? You can get spiritual guidance and spiritual advice from venerable monk. So therefore you always need to come to the temple, you need to look for monks, you need to listen to the monk, you need to get advice from venerable monks. Because Lord Buddha is no longer with us in this world today. We only have his teachings and his disciples of monks. So you need to get advice from the monks. You need to see them constantly in order to get spiritual advice from venerable monk. Then you can lead your life happily, successfully in this world and next world as well. And next type of people, who are the next type of people that you should obey and get respect from? You obey and you should be obedient and obey too, right? Who is that? Who are those people? Your parents. Children, can I ask you a question again? Are you well obedient child to your parents? Do you listen to the advice? Do you get advice from your parents usually? Do you get? Yes, you should get good advice from your parents and important advice from your parents and guidelines from your parents. You have to be obey to your parents very well in order to get good advice. But when I look into the modern world, especially teenagers, some parts of the world, teenagers are not willing to accept or willing to get the advice from their parents. Why? They think that they know better than their parents. They think that, oh, our parents, they do not understand the modern world. They have not got a good understanding of some particular subjects and something. So therefore, they are not very good people we should depend on to get advice. So they sometimes get advice from their friends. My dear children, that is not a good quality. That is a not good thing. Right? You always need to get advice from your parents. Why? They have very good experience in their life. They have gone many life experience. They have got lots of experience by living in this world. So having had enough experience, they advise you to be better having got their advice. So therefore, my dear children, you always need to get good guidelines and advice from your parents. Sometimes our parents are very afraid of giving their children advice. They are very afraid to give advice to their children. Why? Because some children, they are not ready to accept. So when their parent advise them, then the children who do not want to listen, they take quick decisions, an instant decision to hurt the parents' feeling. Sometimes they run away from home. Sometimes they try to hurt the parents' feeling. And sometimes some children try to even commit suicide. Why it is that? Because they don't want to get advice from their parents. And also they think that when their parents give advice to their children, then children think that, oh, my parents control me. My parents taming me. And my parents don't allow me to think what I want to think. My parents don't let me to do what I want to do. So in that way, some children think in that way. But actually, your parents are not taming you or controlling you. You have to understand the difference between tame and obey, or guidance or obedience. Guidance means parents usually gives their valuable, important advice to their children to make their life better and to make their life successful. But control means they use their power to control you physically and sometimes mentally. But obey or obedience is not in that way. Obedience means our parents usually advise and give advice and guidelines to your life to make your life better and successful in this world and also in the next world. That is why it is very important, my dear children. Do not ever think that whenever your parents advise you, whenever parents give guideline to you, don't ever think that they are trying to control you. They are trying to tame you. They don't do such kind of things. They only want you to follow their good advice in order to make your life better. You know that there was an obedient child during the times of the Buddha. You may have heard about it. The Prince Singala. He was a very obedient. He was an obedient child. And one day, while the Lord Buddha was on his arms round in the morning, Lord Buddha saw that this young Prince Singala was worshipping 6 directions. He was worshipping 6 directions. So the Lord Buddha wanted to ask, what is this? And wanted to know why this Prince Singala is doing this. What is the meaning of this worshipping? Then the Singhala came to the Buddha and told that, oh, the Lord Buddha, this is how and this is what my father asked me to do when he passed away. So Prince Singhala, having accepted all those beautiful guidelines and advice, he did as requested by his father. So my dear children, you also need to be obedient or obey to your parents in this way. So how do you obey to your parents? There are a few things you need to do. What is that? What are those things? You should listen to them always. That is the one form of paying, obey, or respect, or obey to your parents. What is the first thing? You need to listen to them always. The second thing, you should speak them politely. You should speak to them very politely. It is also a form of being an obedient child. And the next, you should worship them always, whenever you get chance. And you should respect them. And you should not waste parents' stuff like money unnecessarily. And also you should look after and support your parents always when they need your support. And also you should do some household duties to help your parents. And also you should keep and protect your family lineage, tradition, without any violation or damage. And also you should not argue with them or against them whenever they advise you or whenever they ask you to do something. And you should also do some transference of merits once they are gone from this world. So these are the duties and these are the responsibilities that you need to do in order to obey to your parents. So such kind of obedient child will be a successful person in both worlds, in this world and in the next world. So therefore, my dear children, please try to be obedient to your parents always. Try to get their valuable advice. They always ready to give you meaningful, useful, valuable guidelines to make your life better. They never advise you to do bad things. They never give you bad advice. They never give you any unnecessary bad or guidelines to your life. They always give you good lines and good advice. So therefore, please always try to get advice from them. And who are the next category of people that you should get advice from or you should obey to? Can you tell me? They are your teachers. They are who? Your teachers. You should always get advice from your teachers, and you should always obey to your teachers. Why? Teachers are very important in your life. Why are they important to you? Because of them, you get very good education, right? Sometimes, most of the time, your life, your future life depends on their teachings, depends on your teachers. Therefore, you need to get very good advice from your teachers. And you have to obey to your teachers always. And I have a very good story to tell you, my dear children. Please listen to this story. This is story number 252 in Jataka story. It is called Tillamook Jataka, and it is about an obedient child to a teacher. So please listen carefully. One day, there was a prince, there was a king actually, and he had a son, and this son wanted to learn. So in India at that time, that is the tradition, it was a tradition to send their children to some school to get advice, to get his basic education from. So this prince also was sent to that center to get good education from Thammannagama teacher. So this prince went there and he learned there very well and he studied very well. One day this prince was accompanied with his teacher to go to have bath. Usually at that time people had bath in the lake, right? Have you seen the lake? Like rivers, something like that. So they had bath so they went to have bath in that lake. So on the way, this prince, he saw some kind of seeds. We call them mustard seed. We call it in Thala in Sinhala. In English, I think mustard seed, right? So they saw this. He saw this seed, which were on the ground for the purpose of laying to become dry. Actually, so the old lady was there. Actually, the old lady was have put those mustard seed on the ground in order to let the sun get and let the sun dry them up. So this child saw this mustard seed and he wanted to eat a little bit about that, from that mustard seed. Actually, that child, one time he took some portion of mustard seeds onto hand and he ate. Then this old lady saw that, and having seen that, she kept quiet. She had, oh, it's all right. This child maybe he really wanted to try this mustard seed. Maybe he really wanted to eat, so it's okay. Maybe he's hungry, so I let him to eat. So that old lady thought in that way, then let the child to eat. And the second day also, this child, this prince, did the same thing. And then she kept quiet. And the third day, the prince did the same thing again. He took the mustard seed and ate. Then what this old lady did was, she shouted and she said, the students of this Thammannagama teacher are stealing mustard seeds from my compound. So they are not good students. They are not well-behaved students. So in that way, the bad news spread around that area. Then this Thammannagama teacher came to know this news, and then what this Thammannagama teacher did was, he punished this student. And then the Thammannagama knew that this prince was very angry with him when he punished, and he kept this anger in his mind, the student. But this Thammannagama teacher, he gave his best education to this child without thinking anything. And having completed his all studies, he returned back to his hometown, he returned back to his kingdom, and when he returned back to the kingdom, he thought in this way. The prince thought in this way: one day, if I become king of this region or king of this place, I will take revenge from this teacher because he punished me, because of punishing. Having kept that mind, he went back to his kingdom and he became a king actually after the dissolution of his father, after the death of his father. And then he asked his ministers to bring this teacher to his kingdom to kill him. Then the Thammannagama teacher knew that he got this news, the request news from the prince, but the Thammannagama knew that if I go at this time, because the prince is still young, he may not understand the danger of some certain activities. So it is better if I don't go now. So I will go sometimes later. So the Thammannagama teacher thought in that way, and then he went that kingdom after a few years later. Then when he went there, the prince knew that the teacher had already arrived. Then what the prince did, and he requested ministers to go and bring him and please kill him soon. And then the Disapamuk teacher told to the ministers, do you know what? When this child was in my center, when he was a small child, while he was getting his primary education, one day he did some mistake. And I pointed out his mistakes and I punished him. If I did not do that, he would not have become a king in this palace. And he might have stolen many things if I did not punish him. So because of my punishment, now he got this kind of good life and this kind of kinship. So having understood the great advice of the Disapamuk teacher, the ministers went to the king, the prince king, and then they explained to the king, and then what happened? Then the prince king realized that it is not good things to punish this Disapamuk teacher. Then Disapamuk teacher praised by this king and treated very well in his palace, and he was appointed as one of his great advisor as well. So from this story, what I want to tell is that, children, you always need to get very good advice from your teachers. When they punish you for some certain activities, don't get angry with them. Don't try to think that you will get revenge from them. Don't ever think in that way. And I have another good story to tell you. I will quickly tell that story to you also. It will help you to understand very well. You know that there is a story about 100th prince, and there was a king actually at that time. He had 100 sons. How many? 100 sons. So among these children, there were very obedient and clever, smart son. That is the youngest one. That is the 100th one, last one. And even though he was the last one to the throne, because you know that at that time usually the people believed that the kingship should go according to the seniority of the family members, right? If you are the eldest of your family, then you will get the first kingship after the death of your father. But this prince, the last one, the youngest one, 100th one, was on the line for the kingship. But he was a lucky enough one. He was a lucky one. And it was the custom to send their children to get basic and best education from various states, right? Various villages or provinces. So all the 100 children, 100 princes were sent to many parts of the places to get their basic education. And then all the students got a good education, and then it was the custom also to send those children to send some other parts of the cities or parts of the villages to serve the people after they got good education. So this child, the 100th one, the last one, went to the king again, went to this teacher again and asked, "Dear teacher, how should I ask my father, king, which city or which province I should go, I should select?" Then this intelligent, this wise teacher advised this 100th last youngest prince, "Please go and suggest to your father in this way. Dear father, what will happen if you send all these 100 sons, all these children to many parts of the cities or many parts of the places? Then who will take care of you? Who will look after you? So one prince should remain in this kingdom in order to look after you." So the youngest prince praised his father, and finally he got chance to stay his father's kingdom to look after his father. And then he went to the teacher again. To get some advice. He asked, "Teacher, how best I can look after, I can serve my father very well? How best I can do my service to my father?" He asked this question from the teacher. Then the intelligent, wise teacher advised him again, "My dear child, or my dear student, you have to go back and you have to ask your father in this way." "How?" "My father," the prince asked from his father, "if you trust me, if you are able to give me the opportunity or the permission to collect taxes or money from the people of that kingdom. So if you give me that chance or permission to collect taxes and money from that kingdom or people, it would be great." And then, having trusted his son, the prince allowed him to collect taxes and money from those people, from the city people. When he did that, he did it with honesty, and he did with lots of respect, and he provided people with lots of benefits and privileges, and he gave lots of other kind of privileges for the people. So in that way, his fame and the youngest child became very famous in that city because of his goodness, because of his great quality. Then what happened? Then his father was on his last deathbed, right? He was about to die. Then people came to know, and people discussed who will be next our prince, or who will be our next king in this region, who will be ruler of our next region. So they thought in that way. The father also thought in that way. Ministers also asked the same question from the king. Then the king said to the ministers, "It should be like this. All your elders are capable are qualified to be kings of this region." So in that way they thought in like that. But finally, ministers and also king let the people to select, let the people of that place decide which one is to be their next king or the ruler. Then what? Then the people selected the 100th one, the last one, as their ruler, as their king of that region. And then he returned to the teacher again, and then he told the teacher, "My dear teacher, I got the kingship to rule this kingdom." And this news went to their brothers who stay in other parts of the cities or another villages, another towns, another kingdoms who stay there. And also they were very upset and very angry. Why? Because the youngest one got kingship while they are still there. While they were still there, he got this kingship, the youngest one. It is not fair. And the neighbors of the other cities or neighbors of the kings of other places, they will complain us, they will look down upon us. Why? Thinking that your youngest king got a kingship while your eldest children is still living. This is not a good thing. Then they got angry, and they were frustrated with this kingship, and then they wanted to have fight and war. And this news came to the youngest king, and then he went to see the teacher again, and he got advice from the teacher again. The teacher advised him, "Please do not go to have war against them, and let them know that he will distribute a single portion or some portion of his wealth or treasure among all the other 99 brothers. And this message was sent to other 99 brothers, but they were not happy, right? Because only a small amount of portion they will get. So they still wanted to have fight. But finally they realized that if we fight with our king, with our younger brother, we have 900 brothers, so our kingdom will split into small portions, small parts. So our kingdom may become weaker and it become less important if we divide it into many parts. So therefore, finally they were agree with his brother and came to be reunited with his youngest brother king, and they actually became close friends again. So what I want to tell is, from this story, my dear children, you also need to get constant advice from your teachers always. The more you get good advice from your teachers, the greater result, the greater your life will become. So therefore, please always try to get good advice from your teachers always, any possible occasions. So how should you obey? How should you obey to your children? There are some duties, there are some techniques, or there are some things that you need to follow. First thing you need to do it, you should listen properly to your teachers when they teach you at the class. You must learn well to make them proud, right? And you should pay attention to their teaching, their lessons very well. And also you must rise from the seats when they come to the class. If you sit down on the seat, actually when they come to the class, you must stand up from the seat as a mark of obedience. And also you must respect them, and you should attend on them, and also you must not argue with them whenever they provide or give guidelines or advice to your life. So these are the duties and responsibilities you should do, my dear children. So your parents, your teachers, the Lord Buddha, monks, and your grandparents and your elders, they are the very important wise people that you should obey to, and also you should get guidelines and advice from. So if you get those advice from those people, you can become a very successful person. And also you can get lots of benefits when you get advice and when you get guidelines from those people. You can identify your hidden mistakes. You have opportunities to correct those identified mistakes and errors. You can minimize mistake which you usually do, and also you will be treated and praised by everyone in the society, and also you will be able to success in both this life and the life after this. So therefore, my dear children, you always need to get this advice from this category of people in order to make your life better and successful one. And also don't forget, my dear children, whenever they point out some mistakes and errors in you, don't forget to say, thank you very much for pointing out my mistake. Thank you very much for letting me know my mistake. I really appreciate your kind advice. Don't forget to greet them in that way. So if you can greet them in that way, that means you are humble enough to accept their guidance and their advice. And then you can be a successful person if you follow these beautiful teachings to your life, my dear children. So this is the end of my Dhamma talk. I have taken 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I don't think I need to take more time to talk. I have to conclude my talk from here, and I think that you may have learned and you may have got some message from these beautiful teachings of the Buddha. So please try to be an obedient child to your parents, to your teachers, to the monk, to your grandparents, and try to be good and try to make your life successful in this world and next world as well as in this world. Wish you all the best, good luck, and Teruvan Saranai. So before that, today I want to transfer merits. Also I want to say thanks for some people, especially this Dhamma talk was sponsored by 2 families because of having some of their purposes and reasons of sponsoring this banner or this Dhamma sermon. So 2 families joined here, especially because they wanted to bless their parents and also wanted to transfer merit to their departed father. Maliti and Manjula Rajapaksa have taken the sponsorship of this banner because their children, their birthday celebration. So Ravin Rajapaksa birthday was on 26th of April. So his birthday was last April 26th, 26th of April. So they wanted to bless him on his birthday to have. Their parents wanted to give him great blessings to have bright future. And also Kavin Rajapaksa his birthday was on 4th of February. So Kavin Rajapaksa also has celebrated his birthday. So their parents wanted to bless these 2 children equally to have bright and peaceful future and successful life and successful future with the blessings of the Triple Gems. And also Maliti, her father has passed away last year, I think. That is the first death anniversary was on 27th of May, last month. 27th of last month, her father's death anniversary was. So may the blessings of may the merits or the blessings of all these good actions which we have done today be upon with our Kavin Rajapaksa and also Ravin Rajapaksa. May both children be able to bless with the Triple Gems. May both these 2 children be able to gain the blessings of the Triple Gems. May both of them be able to study well. May both of their wishes and expectation come true. And may the divine beings always protect these 2 children very well. And also another family joined together today to take part of this Dhamma sermon, having taken the sponsorship. Harsha Veeravila and also Priyanka Vijay Munige. This family also has sponsored for this Dhamma talk because their daughter will be turned into 12 years old on 11th June next month, or this month, yeah. This month their daughter will turn into 12 years old, so her parents want to bless her to have happy and peaceful life and happy birthday. And Mithuli Veeravala, may you be well and happy, may you be able to gain the blessings of the Triple Gems, and may you achieve all your success, and may all your wishes and expectations come true. May you be well and happy. May the gods, may the divine beings protect you very well and to the happiness. And all the departed relatives, especially Maliti's father, may receive this marriage, and may the father be able to have a happy birth in the future. May he be gain the final goal of Nibbana. Wishing that we recite stanzas to transform merit to divine beings person. Akasattha cha bummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sasanang. Akasattha cha bummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyam tang anumoditva chiran rakkantu desanang. Akasattha cha bummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyam tang anumoditva chiran rakkantu tvang sadha. We also transfer merit to departed father, Mrs. Maliti's father. Think about your father. May your father receive this merit. May your father be able to attain the final goal of Nibbana. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita hom tu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita hom tu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukita hom tu ñātayo. Dear children, I wish you all the best, good luck, and may you be well and happy. May you be protected and blessed with the triple gems, and may you all have bright future. Wish you all the best. Teruvan Saranai.